Gentlemen, ladies, welcome back to the Dry Down. Welcome to a Sunday service. I hope everybody's had a great week, a great weekend. Today, as always, your boy, I think I got a vibe for you. It's been a great summer. The transitional month of August and September, months of August and September are really upon us right now. We're at mid-August. This is the second or the third Sunday in August. I'm losing track of time, but I do know with the babies getting back in school and school shopping, it is upon us with Memorial Day. And it's coming to the season of fall, of change. And I always welcome change. I love change. Change is a display of diversity for me. And diversity for me in fragrances and cigars and wines is one of the best things that I think in life and experiencing these hobbies can bring. And so today, with that being said, I want to bring to you guys, my gentlemen, even my ladies, these are some great unisex styles. If you choose to, if you want to lean that way with the robust, spicy, resinous style of patchouli, this is, to me, one of the best categories for men going into the fall season, which is a very sexy and sensual, yet sophisticated and elegant leaning DNA of floral, spicy, patchouli fragrances. Hands down, this is, in some ways, to many, the pinnacle DNA of luxury and elegance. To me, between this and the sensuality of ambers that come through the wintertime, there's a beat of acceptance of luxury in those fragrances. Now, that being said, we're going to today, in this Sunday service, we're going to drink a wine from the Tuscan Valley of Italy. We're going to drink a Vermentino. We're going to talk about what the Vermentino is actually like, what it's feeling like on the tongue with the coastal palate feel, a little salinity coming from that particular variety of grape. And I'm going to smoke with you one of my favorite cigars from the My Father brand, which is the Lancero No.4. What I expect from this particular cigar is a great tasting, peppery kick, full flavored, full body cigar. It is one of the calling cards of what we get from the My Father brand. And I'm excited to smoke this Lancero. This is a great tasting cigar. You have a Rosado Habano, Ecuador Habano wrapper. It is a beautiful Rosado color. It is a Nicaraguan and not just a Nicaraguan binder and filler combination. A very fine rolled cigar. I love these Lancero forms of this particular blend because they smoke so well. This is when I go to My Father Lanceros. This is the one that I pick. The only Lancero that I've enjoyed that I really go back to was one from Don Pepin, the brand Don Pepin, and that's a very enjoyable stick as well. But we're gonna cut, toast, light, and smoke this one as we drink our chilled Riva de la Rosa Tuscany Vermentino wine, and we're going to talk about 4 of the very best fruity, not sweet fruity, but earthy, resinous, fruity styles and floral styles of patchouli coming in for the fall of 2025. If this sounds like the type of content you think you'll enjoy, pull up a seat, pour a glass, and of course, let's enhance. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Dry Down, the lifestyle channel where we as enthusiasts aspire to enhance and elevate our olfactive sensory experiences through the understanding of scent, cigars, and wines. I'm your host, Chris. Welcome to today's wonderful experience. Like I said, it's a beautiful Sunday service. We're going to start off first today and talk about the Lancero from My Father, the No.4. It's a nice pigtail head cap on this one. It's a very nicely colored Rosado color. Leafy, slightly toothy. The toothiness on this one is one of the finest tooth that you'll ever find. Usually with the fermentation process on these leaves, I found that it is one of the toothiest, but one of the slight toothiest. And when I say that, I don't mean in the multiple of toothy, oily composites on this one is much more usual that I see in a lot of cigars. I usually see a toothiness that is more raised, which means this is going to be a fine sheen to this one and smoke very wonderful. The combustion on this one should be great. So we're going to cut this one a straight cutter because I cannot do a V cut on my Lanceros, or I choose not to, I should say. We're going to get a cold draw, talk about some cigars, some wine, and some fragrances. So on this one, the cold draw. The cold draw on this one has always and forever been a nice fermented barnyard toasty hay smell. I never get anything such as a grape, a plum, or fruit, tobacco, not tobacco, but a cacao or anything like that. What I usually get is a soft, particular spice of either cinnamon or nutmeg, and a nice fermented barnyard, like an aged process. No, actually, what I'll say is like an aged Nicaraguan taste to it. So the cold draw on that one is very nice. Get a look at that. That's the band. The band on these are not the most ornate from my father. He usually does some very ornate, but this is, I believe, one of his first blends to hit the market years and years ago. The number 4. It's light. The reason I like these Lanceros, to be honest with you as well, because of the amount of wrapper leaf that you get to enjoy. If you are a person who really takes the, I guess the acceptance of the common knowledge that the leaf of the wrapper is the most abundant taste profile that you'll get. I'll usually, if they have a Lancero offering, I'll try to smoke that one in a blend that I like to see if that is actually something that I will enjoy more. Because if it is true to me, with the length of the wrapper being so long and the Patela is not that small of a ring gauge, you should get more of the flavor that you've enjoyed in the other ring gauges, so to speak. So I try to do that with these Lanceros that they're offering me in organs. So let's get toasted. And as we toast this, let's talk about what it is to have patchouli in your fragrances. Going into the fall of 2025. So I'll let that toast for a quick second. And I'll start off with the actual first fragrance that I want to talk about. I'm going to talk about these in a fashion of nothing best or worst or anything like that. Just grab one how I feel interested in it and speak upon it. The first one I'll go ahead and say is Chanel's Coromandel. What we get from Chanel Coromandel is a compliment magnet, compliment masterpiece, a compliment du jour. The reason I actually brought this out, because I was only going to talk about 2 fragrances in this particular list today. And just the other day, while wearing this one in a situation coming from abroad, I found that taking this one with me and bringing it back and wearing it, I got so many turning of heads with this particular scent. Now, I did not expect that. I will say this. I expected something of a neutrality with this one, especially in the warm temperatures. But wearing this particular scent in 84-degree temperatures, or I think it was like 21 or 23 degrees, something like that. It was Celsius. I got to get used to what the Celsius numbers are, but I think it was like 21, 23, somewhere in there. And the scent profile of this one was just a compliment magnet. I got everyone from the age of 23-ish looking to everyone in like a 70-ish, 80-ish looking. Very pleasant smiles, very pleasant. Wow, you smell nice. What is that? That smells good on you type of environment that and scenarios that I was interacting with people in. And it was very, very flattering to have those conversations and compliments on this particular fragrance. Now, Coromandel, we all know it as one of the best patchouli fragrances. We've often talked about how it has this white chocolate note inside of it that very much so brings about this sweetness tonality that meets that earthy, camphorous style of patchouli, along with the rosebud. But what I very seldomly see mentioned and hear mentioned about this particular scent is the very special benzoin and myrrh style of this resinous scent. And it's just one that if I was to recommend a patchouli scent for a man that has a floral tonality to it, this would be one of the first 2 I would always recommend. Not just for the accessibility of it, but the beauty and the way this particular scent goes on skin, envelops the wearer, gives us beautiful sillage trail, beautiful projection, and it's a great scent for even not just a date night or a luxury evening out or a very somewhere you will wear the galas or things like that, especially coming up in season with so many of the galas we have here locally for scholarship programs, the galas that we have here for art museums, the galas that we have here all throughout the wintertime. This is the time where situations like this occur, and this is the perfect evening elegant fragrance for those. But I will say this, in some form and non-formality, you can wear this casually and become one of the most sexy smelling people around in that room. Very sensual, like I said, the patchouli, the benzoin, the white chocolate feel, and of course, the floral component, which is the rose. Chanel Coromandel is one of the very best when it comes to rose or floral essence patchoulis. Get your nose on that one, guys. Let's see how the Lancero is shaping up. So ultimately, what I've gotten from this, what I expected from this, and what I enjoy about this particular blend is the peppery kick of the Don Pepin blend. Don Pepin put together some of the best long fillers and binders of Nicaraguan descent, aged that tobacco, wrapped it around one of the best Ecuadorian Habano wrappers with that spicy flavor, and made one of the best peppery cigars on the market, in my opinion. And don't let it fool you for not being a smoothness to it. I always compliment the factor of a blender when they can put in a spice kick that becomes smooth, creamy almost a factor of bringing in something that you would see in a cacao-based or a fruit-based cigar, but it be peppery but still have that smooth creaminess to it. And I really enjoy that about the way Don Pepin does his blends, and I always have gotten that in this Patela or Lancero Patela when smoking the number 4. You can just taste the beauty of a toasted cedar. If you're a person who looks for the taste of cedar in a cigar, I would point to this blend as one of the ones to go and get that factor and become exemplary for you to know what cedar tastes like in cigars. Now, I often equate the cedar note with a lot of cigars because it is aged in cedar. It has to get some of that feel and taste to it. You have to understand that. But when it comes to a blending process where it's actually blended in to bring out a robust taste of cedar, that is exactly what I get in the number 4 every time I smoke it. And again, don't let it fool you for being something that is not robust, something that is not full body, full flavor. Just the pepper and the cedar alone fills your mouth with flavors. Fill your mouth of everything that you want in a cigar that has that type of profile. And breaking this down within thirds, you're smoking 2 inches of the first, second, and final third, 2 to 3 inches, 2 to 2.5 inches of the third. And you're going to get the flavor profile that you want for a longer period of time. And in that one, what I would like to see with this one developing wise is to bring about in the second third something of a little sweetness to it, something with a cacao kick to it. I know I may not get that, but it's a possibility that I may have something of a sugar cane, which I've seen come into these particular cigars before, and I'm always interested to see if I always catch it. Funny enough, with this particular cigar as well, you get a little florality to it. I would say something of a lush jasmine note comes off of this particular cigar. That is not something that you will always pick up in all cigars, not something that I always pick up in all cigars, but there is sometimes a petal-like flavor and smell when I smoke cigars. And this one, I'm smelling something of a petal-like essence smelling like a jasmine. Tasting pretty good. My Father. Now let's see, guys. We got the Riva de la Rosa Vermentino from Toscano Valley, 2023 vintage, sitting in the Ulster Chill. This is like I said, Vermentino. So Vermentino, what I've come to understand is that this is a coastal town in Italy, and you are supposed to expect and enjoy a salinic taste from the ocean spray on the vineyard. You're supposed to get that salinic ocean water. The variety of citruses that you'll get should be native to Tuscany, like lemon, mandarins, bergamot, and some stone fruits like you will get in some of the taste of the coastal France region, like the Vouvrays that I've been talking about lately. So we're going to pour this and see exactly what we get. Hopefully it is something that has a little punch to it, but is fair on the tongue with a long finish and a nice sprightliness to it. So like the Vouvray, this is a wine that has a very pale, almost a crystal clear vision right through it. The color on this one is almost crystal clear. I don't particularly see any, if anything, this is the palest of wines that I've seen in a long time. This is almost like a white grape juice color, just even a little bit less of a pale yellow to it. Oh, that's good. That's good. Let's toy with this flavor for a while. So that one there, I met with almost exactly what they said, which is a very salinic sea orchard, so to speak. When I mean sea orchard, I mean like something that is just off the path of the ocean, something in those mountains, and a very heavy salt taste. Like, I wouldn't say Himalayan sea salt. This was almost like you would expect from someone who is blending something that they want the ocean osprey to feel like. I've never drank ocean water. Of course, it's gotten in my mouth, but I've tried not to drink it, and I don't know particularly what that would taste like. But I do know the salinity in this comes off very well, and that's a part of the blend. The actual alcohol volume on this was 12.5, which is great. That's my middle ground, my sweet spot. I like 12.5 to 13.5%. This is vegan and gluten-free. That's always nice to mention. And like I said, it is of the Toscano Valley, which is a coastal valley of Italy. The Vermentino grape. Let's see how it tastes off of the beauty of the number 4. That pepper and salt may come off well. As always, guys, I'm enjoying these Sunday services. I hope you are too. If you got anything to drop below about the wines you've been drinking, to all my guys who have been putting in the comments about the wines, cigars, and also the actual fragrances that we've been talking about in these Sunday services, what it is that your favorites are and have become. I love that you guys are putting it there. Thank you so much for doing so. That becomes the community, that becomes a part of the conversations that we all continue to have here. Funny enough, what I'm getting on this wine, it is the wine. So I was thinking maybe the petal taste that I was getting from the actual cigar was tainting. But there's a tomato vine or ripened vine taste to this particular wine for me right now. It's a green vine, and it's a peculiar, almost like I know I would enjoy this with a great tasting Italian, creamy red Italian dish. Nothing creamy white like maybe a penne with a Toscano sauce, maybe a braised lamb and then a sausage inside of the penne. That would be great with some roasted zucchini and some sauteed onion. I can see it and I can taste it. It also has a smokiness to it. Very quick finish on the flavors and the fruits, but there is a nice bit of acidity and a nice touch of tannin to this, which is giving the profile that comes to come a nice wash. Now the bouquet, I'm not picking up too much on the bouquet. I was thinking that I would pick up more of it once I put it to my nose. It smells like a Chardonnay to me. It smells just like a Chardonnay to me. You know how Chardonnays can come off with that slight bit of buttery, oak buttery, churned butter smell. I'm getting that richness here, that same richness. It's not light off the tongue like a Moscato. It's not light off the tongue like a Vouvray or a Pinot Grigio. It's more of that rich oaked barrel taste of a Chardonnay in this one. And this makes a great finish on it as well. Now the Vermentino, I've never had this grape before. And so admittedly so, it's one very new to me. It's very good tasting. I like it. Let's move on next. First I showed you guys Coromandel for this particular fragrance content. Let's move on next to one that I'm enjoying, that I talked about recently, that I will be picking up a bottle of, and that is the Harmonious Hypnotizing Fire. Harmonious Hypnotizing Fire, man, I purchased I continue to say this, and I won't say it anymore because I actually have the bottle now, but I continue to say I went out, I couldn't sample it, I couldn't find samples of it, and I heard so much about it years ago. Several men in the community of the YouTube were talking about it, and I said, let me just grab it for the sake of it. And I grabbed what it was. They have a refill, put it in a 30 ml or 50 ml bottle, and then transferred that to a 30, and have not looked back since. And I always said that one of these falls, I was going to get a bottle to go in my collection. And here we have that bottle. The Hypnotizing Fire is one of the very best. The name is apropos. It is a hypnotic, sexy, sensual, spicy patchouli fragrance that gives a head turning a different name. The thing about this one, the softness in the way that the patchouli is blended with the pimento spices and the resinous sweetness of this one is hands down the best from the Harmonious, in my opinion. I've smelled maybe 90% of their fragrances. Now, all of them have components that bring in such a variety of not only complement factor fragrance, but just across the gambit. They have things that are original, they have things that have complement factors, or they complement other fragrances. You know how that goes with the game. But this one here, I've yet to smell anything like this. It's not something that I think would be that for everyone. I think that someone has made or will smell this and has smelled something like this before, but I have yet to smell something like this, the way the blend goes on my skin and feels this sexy, smoky, earthy, sweet, chocolate-like patchouli, along with a lot of resinous qualities, incense qualities, sexy, sensual, carnal sexuality of the sweetness in this one. Is just a phenomenal wearing, resinous, slightly floral. Even in this one, you have a rose component to this one, just like the previous. Not as similar. The patchouli in that one is much more camphoric, much more earthy. This one here is much more sensual, sexy, chocolatey, with that same spice level, a little bit more in the blending process of those two coming together versus the pronunciation of patchouli and rose and Coromandel. This one here is a little more of a non-orderly. I mean by that you can't really pick out the notes. You can smell the patchouli in it, but the rest of them is a sweet, sweet blend of sensuality. And that's why Hypnotizing Fire had to go on this list for you guys, to know that if you were looking for a patchouli fragrance as a gentleman, and you want something to really stand out, make you feel, smell, and become sexually attractive and alluring, Hypnotizing Fire is one of those fragrances. Now, I say sample it. I couldn't find a sample my first, but it's been more on the market. And then even Marcus has this in their stores now, which is where I got mine from. And they do have samples that you could take home and carry, or just go into the store and smell it. So I recommend that totally. But for me, Hypnotizing Fire is going to be a great fragrance for my patchouli loving days of the fall of 2025. Can't wait to put that on my skin more often. I'd say next up, particularly, let's go with a fragrance from the house of Xerjoff that really, really, in my early days, gave me what it was to know what Xerjoff was. This is one of those fragrances that I got a sample of when Xerjoff was in his infancy and they first started making this Stone collection. I didn't believe in this particular scent profile. It was, rose, patchouli, very stark citruses, and then maybe 6 months after initially smelling that fragrance, I went back to it in the sample pack and fell head over heels with it, and then ended up, that's when they were doing the transition to the newer bottles. And can't say that I ever looked back since. This Richwood is one that they developed around Mysore sandalwood. But to anybody that talks about this and knows what this fragrance is, yes, the Mysore sandalwood is there, but it's more about that rose patchouli mix along with those citruses. The Mysore gives it a creamy tonality to it. But the patchouli, very much so like the Coromandel, it's that camphorous, earthy, slightly sweet. The rose in this one is that very beautiful, beautiful rose that you'll see in a lot of Xerjoff fragrances that comes off so well. Either to me, it's not Taif, it's more Bulgarian, Damask rose essence, and a sweet, warming, and seductive use of citruses. Now that's not something that you often see in a mention, that you have sweet, warm citruses, but for some reason, somehow, these do not come off bright as much as they come off really, really daring and really, really stark, the way they open this fragrance up and the way they keep and continue to develop around the Mysore, the Rose, and the Patchouli. And it's, to me, the thing that threw me off about this one was understanding that there's almost a caseous smell to this one, which people can equate, and I will admit so. In the beginning, I kind of equated that to that cat urine smell, but I don't smell it like I used to anymore. I don't know if even in going into fragrance houses and perfumeries and smelling it now, I thought maybe my bottle was different, maybe the formula was different, and it's a possibility. But when I first smelled it in sample form, it was that very caseous cat urine smell to it. But to me now, it's just a very seductive take on patchouli. Just phenomenal, man. You see the smile on my face. Richwood from the house of Xerjoff is a phenomenal fragrance, man. If you guys have an opportunity to get a great price on this particular scent, the Stone Collection is one of the more expensive from the brand. But I suggest if you have an opportunity to at least pick up the 50 mil, do so. It's sweet, it's warm, it's creamy, it's seductive, it's citruses, it's florals, it's patchouli ultimately, and it is a debonair scent. Man, my gosh, and this, I mean, just, you wear this one. Personally, how I love wearing this. I have a very beautiful houndstooth, almost like a tweeded wool 3-piece suit. It's brown tonally. I wear that with my double monk strap boots, nice warm burgundy oxblood silk tie with that, a very thick silk tie, and a cream shirt. Every time I wear that particular suit, I'm wearing Richwood with it, and every single time, it's almost like I get compliments from men, I get compliments from women, I get compliments from everyone around me, not only in the attire and the way I present myself with that attire, but this particular scent, man. I've had so many people ask me where can they find this particular scent in that particular outfit and wearing process, that scenario. And it's so fun to wear in that scenario. I'm still getting every essence off of this particular cigar in its first third. I'm gonna see what the oxygen did to the actual wine. Funny enough, I still do not pick up a lot of things different than Chardonnay. I will say this, I don't pick up as much bouquet of citrus fruit or stone fruits or even melon. I'm picking up grape. Green grape. Green, fleshy, plump, tannin-rich grape. And it tastes great too. I'm not even going. There is a bite, so I feel the tannins, I feel the acidity. The acidity and the tannins, along with that sea salt taste, does grip the tongue. It does give a bit of a longer finish, especially with the warming of it under the sun. That's enjoyable. Next up, gents, let's talk about the last on this list. One is a newer pickup for me, and one that I wanted to bring to this channel. If you guys are a fan of great unisex fragrances, especially from the House of Tom Ford, who does some of the most spectacular unisex fragrances in my honest opinion. Very, very sexually connotated fragrances from that house. I'm a fan of the scent Black Orchid, and I had never got my nose on the Black Orchid Parfum. And when I did, it was a no-brainer to have this in the collection. The Tom Ford Black Orchid Parfum adds a richness of boozy, I would say orange liqueured rum, or an aged rum, something like a Solara. There's a particular brand of rum that I have in my bar, Ronzacapa, and they have an XO that's like $130, $140, aged past the 23-year term of their original rum, and it is the smoothest, sweetest aroma, and that's exactly what I get in this one, that smooth, aged rum smell, along with everything that you love about the original Tom Ford Black Orchid. you get a lifting of the truffle along with that ghost orchid, black orchid that you get with the original, and then you even have a lift with that rum attached to that. And then ultimately, as we have here, we're talking about attractive, masculinely leaning unisex fragrances that have the note of patchouli. And this fragrance here is, I'm going to say it and go out on a limb, it's better than the original to me. It's more seductive and sexy than the original to me. Wear this on a woman, you wear this, you hear me, I'm talking to y'all, and you are going to be attractive. You're going to be the actual femme fatale wearing this particular scent. And for my gentlemen, the way the patchouli, the florals come off, the tonality of that, the darkness, the dark richness of this particular scent profile is phenomenal. Projection, sillage, 10 out of 10. Just, if you don't want to smell like this, don't buy it. Because if you put it on 2 sprays, you're going to smell like it for 6 hours projected. Just earthy and rich and seductive. And the patchouli in this one is camphoric and sweet. So it has that green take of raw, rich patchouli leaves that you would just take off a patchouli tree and crumble in your hand, and you would smell that richness from a fresh torn leaf, not something that's aged and has been in. Look at the butterfly 5000. Jesus Christ, I love that. That's what we do it out here on Sunday sermon. That's what we do it live. Just the beautiful scent profile. Very different from how the rose and the patchouli come off in the Richwood and the Coromandel, and of course, very much so different than the Hypnotizing Fire. But it's one of those fragrance profiles that when it comes to Black Orchid, if you're looking for something to be ultimately seductive, and I'll say this is one of those unisex fragrances that you have to be comfortable with wearing. Ladies, even you have to be comfortable with wearing this, because this is not for everyone. This is not for the meek. This is not for the shy. This is for that person who has a personality that they want to show that they have a very broad range of personality traits. They are not shy about life. They're not shy about putting their opinion on the table, and they're not shy about presenting themselves as someone who wants to be seen. That's what this particular scent is. And man, is it a showstopper. Just comes off, and it's I'm outside and it fills the air. You can smell it around. Just everything about patchouli. This is patchouli. This is what you want in fall season. This is what you want in 79 degrees and below. This is what you want in the evenings in that temperature. When it gets to 65, you can wear it, draw it back to a daytime wear. And it becomes a captivating signature scent for you if you wear it all season long, which I choose to do a lot of my patchoulis and my darker fragrance, of course. But patchouli really going into that September and October months. Patchouli is that calling card for me. I've always made lists for you guys for patchouli, from bohemian wealth to the seduction and seductive notes of rose and patchouli. And I'll put a playlist of all my patchouli fragrance playlists that I've come up with, because patchouli to me is nothing like the bohemian, or not bohemian, but the hippie smell that was used to be associated with it in the 1960s here in America to cover up the marijuana smell. Patchouli here now, the way they blend these fragrances and the way they come off, it smells super, super luxurious. But you have to be someone who loves it, and I am one of those people. If you guys are lovers of patchouli, I want you to tap in. Let me know what your favorite patchouli fragrance is. I'm sure once I make my list, I'm going to show you about the 20 I have in my fragrance collection, which are predominant patchouli. Patchouli is a note that comes in maybe 80% of my fragrances, but dominantly it's not. It's dominant to about maybe 40 fragrances or so. But man, are they some of the most beautiful fragrances in my collection. So like I said, let me know what you guys are really loving about patchouli fragrances this coming fall. What you think, which ones you want in your collection. What you're smoking on. Definitely, I want to know what you guys are smoking on to this fall. It's time for those more robust, i.e. the My Father cigars that really have a bold take, a bold flavor. And for me, and for always, transitional wines, light or dark, white or red. I love tasting these particular wines and giving my opinion of things that I would truly end up purchasing, things I would recommend. Now this Vermentino, I cannot say definitively. I would have to get more tastings out of this bottle and out of this varietal of grape. But if I was to say try it, I definitely say try it. Is it in full transparency, is it one of my favorite wines I've had on this channel so far? It is not. It has a taste profile that I will enjoy. I think that this one ultimately would not be a chill and relaxed wine as much as it will be a combination of wine with a meal. Now, chill and relaxed wines for me, just I don't need anything but either my cigar, my book, and my wine, and I'm just relaxing because the taste profile really indulges me, really captivates me. It really makes me feel great about drinking that wine. I don't see that for this one. I see this as a companion to food, not even a companion to a cigar chaser, just a companion to food. So I'll continue to think about what this is and see if I can find more Vermentino to give it more of a chance. But right now, if I was to say a point system on a recommendation, a 10 being definitely, 1 being 0, I would give it like a 6. I would say if you like Chardonnay smells, if you like Chardonnay robust richness, but you like the actual tannins of Pinot Noirs and Pinot Grigios and the acidity of those, while still having some earthy, salty taste, I would say pick this one up. If all those sound intriguing, which to some of you, I definitely know that it will, I would say try this Vermentino. To me, those are not my notes. Those are not my flavor profiles. That C note to me right now is something that's a scratchy note, scratchy taste. The scent is not something, the bouquet is not giving enough to me to make it one to enjoy by itself. If the bouquet gave more and I felt more of a citrus pop or a citrus feel, along with some melons, I would enjoy this more as one of those wines. But for me right now, this is just a companion piece. And I think once I try this with a companion of a Italian dish, it may go off well great, I would say, with that particular meal. So we'll see about that. So that's the wine today. If you choose to, with those notes being given and that taste profile I have, go try it. We have Richwood from Xerjoff, a phenomenal smelling rose and citrus and patchouli fragrance that just is head-turning elegant. The seductive Hypnotizing Fire, which is spicy, sweet, warm, almost a milky chocolate rose, and a fire-breathing patchouli that just smells sexy on skin. I tell you, if you're looking for sexy and sensual, that's the one. The next one, sexy, sensual, but in a toned-down way of spices, but toned up in its floral components. And let's not forget that earthy, peculiar truffle smell in this Black Orchid Parfum. Oh boy. Oh boy. And then the one that always makes me smile when wearing it, and of course, like I told you, wearing it on a trip, you know, a lot of people, and I say that because in telling of what a compliment is from a fragrance, and telling what a compliment is on you, we often have these compliment fragrances. We often have these lists. And a lot of people say, well, I don't get compliments on fragrances, or I don't get talked to about fragrances. Well, with some sense, the way you wear them, the way you wear your clothing and things like that, it kind of matters. The way you present yourself, if you look to be someone who has an open personality, you may or may not get compliments. But trust me, they know you smell great, especially wearing something like Coromandel from the House of Chanel. And like I said, this was one, in walking down the street, I put a few actually shorts up of how my trip was going. I didn't want to do too much because I wanted to keep it private. But I put a few of the little walking scenes up, and people that day were just like, man, you know, some I couldn't understand because we were in a different country. Some I couldn't understand, but the ones that I could, and the ones that spoke English, and the ones that were talking to me and asked me what it was, it felt great, it felt good, and it felt wonderful to know that that scent was magnetic, and it was doing the trick I wanted to do. That's Coromandel from Chanel. Get your nose on it. And here we have the finest of Lanceros. This is Mr. Garcia at his best. My father makes some of the best tasting cigars to me. I ranked it in my my favorite brands. It would be up in my top 10 at least. I've been a fan of the My Father brand. I'm a big fan of the Judge. I believe it's a La Opulent, the Orchid. I mean, it's so many names. I can't even recall how many names these cigars have with these blends, but I do know what's in my humidor when I go back to when I see them in the humidors of these lounges. And I always, one of the first brands I go to see what's up is the Lancero or the My Father brand. And this one, still peppery, still cedary. And to me, in closing out, one of the finer things about these cigars is this may be a turn off to some, but it's what I get. And it smells good. It's one of those things, if you ever were someone who smelled unleaded gas in the 1990s and the late 80s, 90s, and unleaded gas was attractive to you, it's funny enough how unleaded gasoline can come off of this particular cigar. It's that petroleum. That's one of the things about this one that you smell, that liquefied gas petroleum. Now, it's not heavy. It's not something that's going to put you off. It's just something, if you have if you remember those smells, you'll pick it up in here. For me, at least, like I said. And boy, is that pepper ever present. So that's a My Father Lancero Patela, number 4 blend. This has been another Sunday service for you guys here on the Dry Down. Leave a comment below. Remember, since his memory, collecting his legacy, and community his culture, and we here at the Dry Down are developing and loving every part of this particular Sunday service movement. Tap in below, guys. Let me know what you guys think. I got a little bit of construction going on over there, so I'll try to get that out of the sound. Hopefully I will. It's been a great Sunday service, guys. Have a good one. See you in the next video.